Okay, this video is about the first black Mexican president, Vicente Guerrero, who freed the Mexicans and freed blacks in Mexico. Vicente Guerrero, he's the black guy that made slavery illegal in Mexico. So in this video, I'm gonna let y'all see a little bit about him so y'all can research him and learn who he is. So Spanish people and black people will know that it was black people that freed most of the earth. And Spanish people, Mexicans in California fighting against blacks, Mexicans in New York and Florida and Chicago need to knock that shit off because black people freed your people. Because we was all slaves. So let's watch this video of the second president of Mexico, who was a black man. He could have been the first president, but he was a general in the war. So he let one of the Spanish guys be the first president. He pretty much let him because he could have been the first president. But the president elected after the first president got scared and ran off because it was at wartime with Spain. So Vicente Guerrero, the black president, he came to power, came into office during the second term because the second elected president of Mexico got scared and ran off. But anyway, here's a video of the second president of Mexico who freed Mexico and freed the slaves from Spain. Okay, here we go.
Vicente Guerrero. In 1782, in the Mexican village of Tixtla, which borders the city of Acapulco, was born a baby boy named Vicente Ramon Guerrero Saldaña. No one would have predicted that this boy from such humble beginnings would become powerful enough to fight colonialism and free his people. Guerrero was the son of an Afro-Mexican man named Pedro Guerrero and an indigenous mestizo mother named Guadalupe Saldaña. As a child, he worked with his father as a mule driver, which allowed him to travel to various cities in Mexico. As he traveled, he would learn about different ideologies of independence. These ideas would counter his parents' ideas, which were in support of Spanish colonialism. Guerrero refused his father's wishes of pledging his allegiance to the Viceroy of New Spain. Instead, he joined General Jose Maria Moreno y Pavon, leader of the rebel army against Spain in the Mexican War of Independence of 1810. Guerrero was stationed in southern Mexico when he joined Pavon in the war. His skills as a soldier and leader would first be on display during the Battle of Izúcar in 1812. The Battle of Izúcar occurred on February 23, 1812, between the Spanish royal forces and the Mexican rebels at Izúcar, Puebla, Mexico. Guerrero improved on his military reputation at the Battle of Izúcar. He was able to lead his troops to a victory during the capture of the city of Oaxaca in November of 1812. He was also promoted to lieutenant colonel of the rebel army. In December 18...
See, now, this is a black brother. He's a mix. He's a Blaxican. He's part black and part native Mexican. But you see how they got him looking white right here. His face looking pure white. I'm going to show you another picture of him. This right here, this is one picture portrayed as Vince Guerrero, second president of Mexico, black man.
President of Mexico in 1829. His mother was said to be of African descent and his father was a mestizo. But it would seem as though throughout his life, people highlighted his Africanness above all, reportedly calling him El Negro. He was said to be tall, robust, and of dark complexion. In many ways, Vicente Guerrero was a champion of the people, of the oppressed and downtrodden.
Now, he was a black man. But anyway, getting back to the program.
1815, Jose Maria Moreno y Pavon was captured and executed by the Spanish forces. Guerrero became the commander-in-chief of the rebel forces after the death of Pavon. Pedro Guerrero, the father of Vicente Guerrero, attempted once again to persuade his son to surrender and end their resistance against Spanish tyranny. Guerrero refused his father's wishes by stating, "My motherland comes first." This became the motto that the state of Guerrero would adopt. Under Guerrero, the rebel army was very successful, winning close to 500 battles using guerrilla warfare tactics to confuse and defeat the Spanish. Guerrero would begin petitioning for Agustin de Iturbide to join his forces in the Mexican fight for independence against Spain. Iturbide was initially summoned by Spain to help suppress Guerrero and his rebel army. Iturbide eventually accepted Guerrero's offer and aligned with him under the Plan de Iguala, or the Plan of Three Guarantees. The Plan of Three Guarantees proclaimed that Mexico would implement Catholicism as its primary religion, that Mexico would gain its independence from Spain, and equality amongst the different social and racial groups would be implemented within Mexico. Article 12 of the plan read, "All inhabitants, without distinction to their European, African, or Indian origins, are citizens, with full freedom to pursue their livelihoods according to their merits and virtues." After Guerrero and Iturbide joined forces, Iturbide was declared the Emperor of Mexico by its Congress and immediately abandoned the agreements made in the Plan of Three Guarantees. Iturbide reinstated racism and classism into the Mexican society. Guerrero then partnered with Guadalupe Victoria and others to rebel against Iturbide and his oppressive empire. Guerrero and Victoria were able to defeat Iturbide in March of 1823, and Guerrero became a member of the Mexican Congress. In September of 1828, Guadalupe Victoria became the first president of an independent Mexico, while Guerrero became head of the People's Party. In 1829, Guerrero became the second president of Mexico and the first president of African and indigenous mestizo heritage. He used his power to change policies to end racism and oppression in Mexico. He lobbied for public schools, land reforms, the development of Mexican industries, and much more. On September 16, 1829, slavery was abolished by Guerrero. In doing so, he created enemies and a rebellion against his administration. Anastasio Bustamante, the vice president of Mexico, did not agree with Guerrero's policies against racism and rebelled against him. Bustamante and his followers were able to remove Guerrero from the presidency in 1830, but Guerrero did not go out without a fight. He returned to southern Mexico and began a rebellion against Bustamante's administration. Guerrero was eventually captured, tried, and executed on February 14th of 1831. It is stated that he angered the people of Mexico who wanted to maintain a system of Spanish-European supremacy. Therefore, he died to retain the freedom of African and the indigenous people of Mexico. Guerrero was a man with dark skin and profound African and indigenous features who became the first president of Mexico not to resemble or reinforce Spanish-European culture or colonialism. Since he was a young mule driver traveling across the Mexican country, Guerrero was a stout opponent against Spain and its oppressive rule. As a man, he became a leader for his people and a national hero for his constant rebellions against Spain and anyone else who tried to oppress his people. Vicente Ramon Guerrero Saldaña. We proudly stand on your shoulders. For more information, please.
Now you see here that black people don't owe anybody on earth anything. We was the first people everywhere, and we freed everybody. The Mexicans, the Indians, we freed everybody everywhere. And also Masonry. You all that believe in the Illuminati, take a listen to this. You had the York Rite, and you had the Scottish Rite Masonry involved in wars, even back during slavery time. Listen to this, how the Masons got involved in the Mexican War with the first black president who freed the slaves and the Mexicans.
After much turbulence and revolt in Mexican society over who the leader was going to be, Mexican officials were finally pressed to allow Vicente to become president. Two Masonry sects were vying for power in Mexico, the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. The York Rite
the Scottish Rite and the York Rite, Masons. George Washington and our presidents was Masons.
Proclaimed their leader to be Vicente and had this to say about him. The name of the hero of the South is echoed with indescribable enthusiasm everywhere.
I'm going to back that up just a little bit, just to hear that one more again.
Proclaimed their leader to be Vicente and had...
Hold on, let me back it up a little bit more. Get the full effect of these Masons.
Two Masonry sects were vying for power in Mexico, the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. The York Rite proclaimed their leader to be Vicente and had this to say about him. The name of the hero of the South is echoed with indescribable enthusiasm everywhere. His valor and constancy, combined, have engraved themselves upon the hearts of the Mexican people. He is the image of their felicity. They wish to confide to him the delicate and sacred task of the executive power. In 1829, he became the second president of Mexico and went on to champion the cause not only of the racially oppressed, but also of the economically oppressed. In September of that same year, Vicente abolished slavery. This was significant because he did this many years before Abraham Lincoln. As president, Vicente also abolished the death penalty, taxed the rich, protected small businesses, and established the village council movement that enabled peasants to elect representatives without qualifications of race, property ownership, or literacy. Unfortunately, after his brief rule as president, Vicente was betrayed, captured, and assassinated, largely because of the racial undercurrent of Mexico during that time, as many of the more Eurocentric Mexican elites did not want Vicente to potentially rally up Africans or natives in the nation to acquire more positions of power and become the face of the elites. This was largely because Vicente...
Mexicans are racist. They didn't want blacks to come to power. Those European Spaniards from Europe. Mexicans are Spaniards from Europe, and they conquered the Indians. They try to act like they're Indians now, but they raped and enslaved the Indians. And blacks had Spain in slavery too. So he that leads them into slavery goes into slavery. Black folks had Spain as slaves for 800 years, the Black Moors.
Vicente was making Mexican society more equal across the board, and that equality was being spearheaded by him, an Afro-Mestizo who used to be a mule driver, and not...
Everybody been slaves, every race, Asians, Indians, blacks, everybody.
A more racially European Mexican elite. I think Vicente has a great legacy, and I find it very interesting that it was a Mexican with African heritage who not only abolished slavery, but made Mexico a more equal society during his time. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting.
All right, now. So, there you go. Spanish people, listen up. I'm not going to play the you owe us and this and that game. But to be racist and try to act like, you better than somebody, we freed your ass and everybody else. Peace, and I'm out.